simply being able to bounce back. It's actually being able to bounce back better. It's not just simply being able to bounce back. It's actually being able to bounce back better.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to EMDRCM Live. This is an outreach of the Executive Master in Disaster Risk and Crisis Management from the country's premier graduate school for business and management, the Asian Institute of Management. This is episode 12, and with me tonight are the coolest members of cohort 1. That's at least from my opinion. They come from 1LT and they will be sharing with us some of their insights about a topic that's not directly COVID related, but hopefully can also be something that all of you watching will also benefit from. So those of you who are tuning in through Facebook, please key in your questions, your insights, your comments, and we will ask our distinguished panel of speakers to react to them or answer them throughout our 1 hour or more of discussion and banter. Again, my name is Wally Panganiban, a proud member of Cohort 1, and maybe one of these four can take over my hosting job so that I can move on to the other stuff, but keeping our fingers crossed. So tonight we are talking about the Disaster Management Command Center. Is this particular initiative going to help build a resilient culture? Okay, so without further ado, let's get to know our panel for this evening. Guys, please introduce yourselves. Anybody can start.
Okay. Hi, I'm EJ. I'm part of the EMDRCM 2020. I'm and part of the learning team 1, and the rest are my learning teammates.
Hi, EJ. Don't be shy, guys. Okay, who's next?
Hello, Sir Wally. I am Ramil Disesto. I am mechanical engineer by profession and working with the engineering service of the Philippine National Police. Thank you.
Hi, Sir Ramil.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
I'm Karen K. Caballero. I'm a Civil Defense Officer at the Office of Civil Defense and the RRMC.
Welcome.
Hello, good evening, everybody. Hello to our viewers. My name is Colin Berberabi Garcia. I am the Assistant Provincial Administrator of the Province of Batangas. Hello, Wally.
Hi. Welcome, guys. I'm hoping that you are safe and well in your respective areas. Where are you streaming from, Sir Colin?
I am streaming from Batangas City.
Batangas City. Sir Ramil, where are you right now?
I'm in Marikina, Sir Wally.
Marikina. EJ?
From Pasay.
Pasay. And Kay?
From Makati.
Makati. So we are coming from all over the place, and tonight we will be talking about this exciting project that this group has is working on currently. So would you mind telling us and the viewers how did this project come about?
I think EJ can start the ball rolling. EJ, I think.
EJ?
No, I think since we were teammates, ultimates, and Colin is the assistant administrator of Batangas, and Case from the OCD. So we thought it would be cool if we set up this operation center for Batangas, since Batangas as Colin have said, and as we know that Batangas is the next industrial area aside from Manila, and it's prone to disasters like the current volcano eruption and earthquakes and typhoons. And we thought that setting up this operation center will help them manage these disasters that we fall upon in Batangas.
Okay, thanks, EJ. Before we proceed to the discussion, can somebody clarify what a learning team is for the benefit of those who are not familiar with the setup? What is a learning team? Is it important? Do you like being in your LT? How would you describe the relationship in your LT?
I think
Tracy all smiles. I don't hear anybody talking.
I think I'll be the best person to answer the definition of an LT. Before I answer that, I just want to. I saw it in the comment section. I have a friend, Mr. Marvin Supicencia. Hello, magandang hapon po, sir. And also my friend Rainier Kuwa. I was in a meeting with him this morning, so he's watching with us. Hello. But anyway, a learning team. So our class of 40 plus students is broken down into learning teams. Learning teams consist of probably 5 or 6 people, and we are put together to work on class projects to help because AIM implements a case learning method. So it is very important to get perspectives from your peers. So a learning team enables that, and also because a master's degree is also quite a tough journey. It's quite a difficult journey. It's not difficult. It's challenging. It's a challenging journey, and you need to have people around you who could support you, not only in academics but outside academics. I think our LT is very much in sync. I can attest to that, and we are helping each other out in academics, but also more importantly outside academics in real life. And we are able to count and rely on each other. And I'm sure that the relationships will go on beyond the EMDRCM.
Right, and this particular panel that we have, they are 4 out of 5 members of LT1, right?
Oh, 6. We are 6.
Six.
Oh, yeah. Sir Fausto, I remember. So 4 out of 6. Now, you 4 belong to LT1, but at the same time, you are part of the capstone group. Now, so what's the difference between the LT and the capstone group?
Okay, I'll take it. I'll take it. Capstone group is basically at the end of our course, we will have to submit a final project called a capstone, and a capstone. Unfortunately, as much as we want the entire group of 6 to be part of the capstone team, we can only accommodate up to 4, which is convenient. Which is actually convenient and conducive for learning already. Capstone is a project wherein we will implement everything that we've learned in EMDRCM, and which is a lot of great things, and we will put together a project that will have a tangible result after EMDRCM, something that we can work on together beyond the course.
Okay, so let me ask Sir Ramil. Sir Ramil, can you describe in one word your LT?
Sir Wally, the best, number one.
Best. Okay, now about your capstone. Describe your capstone in one word.
Oh, the resilient.
Okay, so good. So you have the best LT and the resilient capstone group. Okay, I don't have the luxury of reaching out to the other cohort. Maybe they might argue. But good that you feel that way. So, okay, going back to how AJ explained earlier, you guys thought it would be nice to formulate this project because Colin is the Assistant Provincial Administrator of the province of Batangas. But
Correct, Wally.
yeah, so but was it an easy decision? I mean, you are from OCD, EJ is from the Air Force, and Sir Ramil is from the PNP. Why focus on Batangas? Why not go through a more neutral or more encompassing project?
Where you're right, Wally, but Batangas is a melting pot of different disaster, not just volcanic eruption. They have earthquakes. They have a pandemic like we have now the COVID, and also they have a typhoon and also landslides. So we believe that our capstone will be able to have all the types of the hazards that we are encountering in the country.
Okay, so what you're saying, even though it's centered in this particular province, Batangas is actually one interesting area because all of these hazards seem to be present in this very close province to the national capital region. Okay, so can somebody tell us what do we mean by a disaster management command center? We've heard a command center in the past. So maybe for the sake of those who are not quite familiar with it, how do you define a disaster management command center?
Okay, can I answer that?
Go ahead.
Okay, so the command center will be a form of a coordinating hub for all disasters or hazards that we are encountering, and also incidents, and also we will be having the response and also monitoring of various hazards.
Okay, so right now there isn't one for the province of Batangas.
Correct.
Okay, so for the longest time they haven't had this particular center. Why now? Or why haven't they put up this particular center in the past? Maybe Colin can lead the answers.
Well, actually, Batangas has invested quite a lot over the years, especially when Governor Mandanas came back as governor in 2016. We have invested a lot already. We've been investing a lot in a proper command center here in Batangas City. We have evacuation centers. We have capacity building and budget alignment for disasters already. But you know, in the news, I mean, at least this 2020, we've had two once in a generation disasters in Batangas, in the eruption of Taal volcano, and of course the COVID-19 pandemic. And it is just timely because as mentioned by Kay, Batangas is already a hotspot for economic development. Did you know that 30% of the energy requirement of Luzon is produced in our plants here in Batangas? And
Okay,
imagine,
let's take a little while to process that. 30% of the energy for the entire Luzon
yes,
country?
oh, brown out.
Okay.
Brown out pagka na-shutdown yung ano, if it's shut,
Wow.
a total blackout, and that will have its repercussions beyond Batangas. So it is imperative for us to I mean, it's already there, but we just need to fully equip this command center to be able to cater to even bigger types of disasters like what we have experienced this year.
Okay, so there's this question. I think people are getting excited. This is a question from Norio Alumno. Is this DM Command Center different from the NDRRMC Operations Center? Is this for the regional or national in scope? And who will run it?
That's okay, EJ.
EJ.
It's for Batangas, so it's regional, provincial, and it's like an NDRCM operation center in Batangas. So it's like sub operation center that will help the NDRRMC operation center facilitate response for Batangas area when disaster happens in the province.
Okay, so it's going to be run by the provincial government. Yes. Okay. So just a follow-up question to that. If there is already an existing NDRRMC Operations Center, why do we need to set up one in Batangas?
Let me answer that one. I think that there's still a lot of room for development of ensuring disaster resilience in Batangas. And one of our primary targets for this would be the private sector. I think that in order for us to achieve disaster resilience, it has to be a holistic approach. Right now, if you can see the patterns, the government does quite a lot, especially with regards to prevention, mitigation, and preparedness. And we are one of the features of our disaster management center is the ability to produce through a template a ready made disaster management plan for private which private sector businesses of any size can access. So I think it's
Let's process that a little, Colin. So you hope to develop a template that the private sector can use?
yeah, it's one of the features of it. One of the features of this enhanced command center.
So when you say a template, it's like a blueprint on how they need to respond or react even before, during, and after a disaster.
Yeah. Tailor fit to their requirements, which of course will be done in consultation with our PDRMO leaders really in the province.
Okay, very interesting. So how is the division of labor among the four of you? So who is in charge of which part? Who takes care of this part?
I think Kay would take that.
Kay.
I follow Kay's orders, so
Yeah, Kay is the. I'm guessing Kay is the big boss in this group. I will not tell the viewers why.
Okay, Wally. So basically, how we divide the tasking or the needed requirement for our capstone is on our specialization. Like for Colin, he knows the province, he knows what is Batangas, so he will be tasked to help us on that. While for Sir Ramil, being in the PNP, so all the peace and order, the security requirement, and also during a response operation. Also for EJ, being a pilot, so I guess she will be able to help us determine some responses during rescue operations. And also for me, being part of the OCD, I will be handling the logistics and also the planning of the operation center or the command center.
And Kay, you mentioned earlier that the command center is going to be acting like a coordinating center that facilitates how one particular agency contributes to the bigger scheme, whether it's not only for response, right?
Yes, correct.
So even the prevention, mitigation component, and even the rehabilitation would fall under the jurisdiction of the command center. Let me just go and ask EJ first. So you as a pilot, you've probably seen how disasters are managed in different areas in the country. So how do you think your particular skill sets can really make a difference in setting up this command center?
For me, it can. For me, my skill sets, I could help in determining the time frame for the faster relief to make how the response can be performed in a faster rate, or can be
Right.
how the logistical requirements of the supplies can be delivered to a certain area in a faster time.
Right. So it's not very critical. Would you know of any other provinces which have the same topography or hazard set as Batangas? Or do you think Batangas is quite unique in that the features of the land is quite not present in the other provinces? I mean, in other places, well, there are only a couple of volcanoes in the Philippines, but most of the volcanoes that are active are not very close to urban centers. And Batangas is one, and you have this big lake surrounding this volcano that can even be more problematic when eruption comes. So I'm gathering it's quite unique compared to the other provinces. No, EJ?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Okay. So what are the requirements to set up this command center? What do you need to have it set up? Is it, would you require a facility, a building? What are the stuff that you need to put into it?
We were planning the mobile operation center, like with the PNP. So I think Sir Ramil can answer that one.
Okay. Before we go deep dive into the command center that you're proposing, Sir Ramil, the PNP has a mobile operation center.
Sir Wally, yes, we have a mobile, we call that the advanced command center. It is a 40-footer container van built with complete accessories. So anytime, anywhere, we can have this this command center.
Okay.
So we can go directly near to the disaster area.
So right now, the PNP has this mobile operations center. So I'm guessing the logic is whenever there is a disaster, the PNP can move it to that location for easier access.
Yes, that's right, Sir Wally. So that will be replicated to Batangas or any other provinces that in case there are disasters contained to be in that area. So the command center, the advanced command center will be easily installed in that area.
Okay, that's interesting. So even maybe perhaps even once it's operational, Batangas government can lend it to the surrounding provinces who might be in need of it.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, so going back to that earlier question, what do you need to set it up? What are the things that you are foreseeing? I'm guessing, of course, it's going to be heavy on technology.
I'll take that one.
Yes, sir.
Well, the first thing that you need is to complete the EMDRCM course.
Okay.
We have a lot. We have a lot of modules about setting up that we can use in setting up a command center. Like some of our modules in data visualization, some of our modules in business continuity planning, which we can integrate in the command center. That's one. Number two, we need to get the buy-in of important sectors. The government is already one, but I've already spoken with the governor and is very supportive of the initiative. Two would be major private sector players in Batangas. We have a lot of investors here because we have an international port also, and we have major oil and gas companies based in Batangas. So that's another one. We are looking forward to getting the participation, of course, of business of federations of businesses also, because I think they will be a key benefactor of whatever product we'll get in the disaster command center, and then we can discuss, of course, the sharing of resources, who pledges what, alongside it. But we're confident that our prototype, we can present a prototype to them before we end our course, and we have gotten support from some of our partners, some of our key partners already. But we're looking forward to getting more, and hopefully, when we finish the program, we'll be able to get more.
Okay, I'll put this question in. It's from Ate Ayla. Will homeowners associations be able to use it?
Absolutely. Actually, the idea of having a mobile command center is that the problem we had with Taal Volcano was that our command center is placed in Batangas, in Batangas City. And Batangas City is probably 20 kilometers away from
Ground zero.
Taal, from Ground Zero, from Taal Lake. And we were sending people back and forth. Even if we had the advanced cameras. Fivox, our professor, Renato Solido, we were talking we've been working together day and night during Taal. And despite all the support, we both agreed that having something set up closer within the 14-kilometer radius that we can easily set up, easily pull out, would be very useful in addressing a disaster situation. For example, if something happens in a subdivision, then something quick like that can be set up also with the right coordination and the right technology.
Right. So maybe the question should have been, will homeowners association be benefiting from it? I don't think you will allow the homeowners to use it, no? Unless they're qualified.
Well, we can talk about that. I think it would be even better if we can equip at least a few representatives from the homeowners associations to be part of this, because they have their own set of unique hazards within them. You have flooding, you have theft,
Right.
you have earthquakes. So we need we really need that. We will seek for their active participation
Right.
in our.
Good. So what I'm hearing from you, Colin, and from the rest of the Capstone group, it doesn't appear that this is a purely government initiative, the proposal that you're putting together.
Yeah. Again, like I mentioned earlier, achieving disaster resilience is a holistic takes a holistic approach from the province. So hopefully the operation center will set a direction towards direction for everyone to go into together and achieve disaster resilience.
Okay, good. And that's one of the comments also from Norio on about requesting the PDRRMC that includes the private sector, the government, and the international NGOs. Before we go to the other questions that we're seeing, I'd like to ask the group, how far along are you in this particular project? Would you say you're 90% there? 80%? 100%?
Can I answer that one?
Yes, okay, go ahead.
So we created a timeline for the whole capstone project. So right now, it's June. So right now we're on the gathering of data, and we're also consulting our mentors and also other stakeholders. It includes the government, private sectors, NGOs, and agencies that would help us to build this and create this command center.
Okay, so you mentioned that you are in consultation mode right now. What particular setup or center do we have in the Philippines that you are patterning the command center from? Or maybe you're not looking at the Philippines. Maybe you're looking, aside from what we mentioned earlier, the PNP Advanced Command Center, Operations Center, are there other models that you're looking into for the command center?
I'll take it. I think other LGUs, what we do is that other local government units, we get bits and pieces of the things that they do well that we can integrate in our system. The Philippine Disaster Resilience Foundation is a well-known organization that also has a command center in Clark, which we have visited a number of times. That is also another pattern for Batangas. PDRF, Pasig City also is a good has a good DRRM command center. So these are some of the many areas. But see, DRR command centers, they vary according to the context of whichever LGU or whichever city or province it is. So
Right.
It's great because a lot of practitioners from other areas are very open and willing to sharing their best practices, which has been really great for us. Very thankful.
Right, and like you mentioned, most of the time the different LGUs would have their unique sets of risks that might not be the same risk in other LGUs. So the command center would have to be tailor fit to the particular needs of the community. So you've been looking at the different LGUs and you've cited several organizations that been putting up the command center. Uh, I'm going to ask everybody's opinion on this. What do you think are the missing links from the things or the models that you've seen that you would like to incorporate in your particular project? So, what particular data or features are you not seeing in the other models that you've looked into that you feel would be nice to put into the model that you are developing? Or wala? Or the rest practically covered it?
Let me offer
Um,
let me offer my take on that. See, the thing is, we started when we started our capstone in around September, October. Uh, it was a totally different, like Batangas was a totally different place back then. So most of our priorities were on uh, earthquakes and flooding and hydromet hazards.
mhm.
And then Taal
Wait,
volcano.
wait, wait. We have to define that hydromet for the purpose of those who are tuning in. Sir Colin, can we clarify what we mean by hydromet?
Hydrological, meteorological, something related to water and
Okay.
storms, flood.
Okay, there. So for the purposes of those who might not be familiar, it has to do with the water and temperature that's present in the air that affects that becomes risk or hazards for the community.
Yes. So I think ever since we started the capstone, the goalpost has been moved several times. So it is a matter of adapting to the situation, and it has taught us a lot about how to adapt, which is what disaster leaders should do. I think, of course, there will always be gaps because, like for example, COVID-19, it doesn't have really a blueprint because the last time a pandemic happened, which was a different kind of pandemic, was Spanish flu. This was early 20th century, and I think there have always been a lot of issues that we have encountered along the way. But as long we believe as a group that as long as we maintain the mindset of being adaptive and to constantly update ourselves, then I think we will be able to run through this command center and be able to establish it just in time before we complete the program.
I'm going to pick up on what you mentioned about moving the goalpost. I think that's perfectly okay because it's a work in progress. And we have the entire year to really fine tune everything so that the end product is really something amazing that's going to impact the community. So I'd like to ask all the members, kasi baka other people might be thinking that it's an easy project to do. So I'd like to ask everybody in the capstone group, what is the challenge that you are seeing in putting together this project? EJ, what are the challenges for you?
For me, we need time. We need time to set it up and see each other face to face talaga, because right now, because of the COVID, we cannot really go to places we need to go to gather data, and especially with the checking out areas where we can check our models like
Right, because
Clark
Batangas is quite
and
diverse. So you need to be able to map out some of the areas that are critical to where you would plan to really roll out. So yeah, that's going to be tricky. You're saying, EJ? Aside from the difficulty with the non-face-to-face interactions and the inability to do on-the-ground data gathering.
No, it's okay.
Okay, so thanks, EJ. Sir Ramil.
Can I go next?
Oh, go. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, for me, we're students, so we're part-time students, and we're full-time government employees. So the how to manage our time and also how to adjust to the new normal that we know now. So it became a problem for us to even to set up a meeting together because
Okay.
we have different schedules, different requirements at work within our in our as students and also personal life. So I guess that's a problem with the how to progress with our capstone.
Right.
Sir
Sir
Wally?
Ramil. Yeah.
Yeah. Since we start this capstone project, our dream is to realize this project. It is not only a proposal, but it is to be realized. So the problem that we see one here is the fund support of this project.
The what?
So,
Sorry?
The fund support.
The
for this
funding
project.
support for the project.
Yeah.
Okay.
Considering that we are suffering on finances by the government due to this pandemic. So that's what one problem that we will be encountering later on.
Okay, that's an interesting point, Sir Ramil. So let's throw that to the group. How would you answer Governor Mandanas when he says, Colin, EJK, Ramil, we don't have the budget for this. Can this project wait until everything has been cleared with the current pandemic?
Actually, we've had that actual conversation.
Okay. Hey, may you mind sharing how you responded?
I think I can. I think I can. I'm sure you won't mind. I remember when we were talking about this. I mean, before COVID, before Taal, this was supposed to be like the project was heavy on identifying a physical structure and the investment that would be needed to carry out a command center like that. Then we started as it went on. What we realized is that what's more important was setting up the systems. So with regards to the provincial government, I of course we've been spending quite a lot over since January. I think we've aligned everything that we could realign really possibly to address these disasters. But I think with funding support, that there are really a lot of interested players in this, especially in the part of the private sector. But I think the most important part is for our group to be able to nail the pitch and make it relevant for them, make it for them.
Right.
Which is what
But
we're trying to do.
so, Colin, so that question, can you afford not to have this up and running the soonest possible time? Is there no urgency in setting it up?
I think right away. That's why one I was mentioning earlier, the template for small businesses, even at minimal costs. I think our group is willing to, because what we're trying to do is setting up a web platform that basically you can just plug and play the data
Okay.
that you have, put it together and have a report written. I think with minimal cost right away we can have that done. We can have that implemented right away. With regards to the mobile, and then of course the mobile command center will be a challenge financially, but if we can find the right partners, which there have been a lot of people, a lot of organizations that have helped us during Taal, and you've seen a lot of companies during the Taal eruption who have offered to help us in any way that they could, and something for us to discuss with them as we go on in the project.
Right. If you're going to include me in your capstone group, I'm going to bully everybody else that you talk to in saying this: disasters don't wait. And while we are struggling with COVID-19, there's no telling when Taal might erupt again, or an earthquake for that matter, or another typhoon, or another flood. So while we are really struggling with the resources, I think your project, we need to get it up and running as soon as possible. Oh my God, imagine if you have it now, because it can literally help manage the situation for COVID, right? Not just for the geophysical, the hydromet and hydrological hazards, but even the biological hazards like COVID.
Well, I think that. Wait, sorry, I lost my train of thought there.
So what I'm saying is, I understand that the provincial government, they have a lot on their plate, starting from the Taal issue and then COVID. And for the most part, with all of the things being affected, economy, our socio-economic landscape is not in the ideal setup. So while there are so many pressing things that needs to be taken care of, this operations center, which is intended to manage disaster, is, to me, in my head, again, I'm not a member of the government, I think it would be top priority. If you ask me, it should be top priority.
Yeah.
Unless, of course, you don't want it to become top priority, so there's no pressure for your capstone group. Kidding. Okay, so we've talked about a lot about how the issues that that are confronting the group in terms of this, and you mentioned that it has to do with the online setup, because we cannot really go face to face, and as EJ mentioned, we cannot do much data gathering. Kay mentioned it's hard also with managing the time between your work, the school requirement, and then doing this project. And Sir Ramil talked about the funding. So I'm wondering, in the experience that we've had doing the Taal Opsen, were there learnings that you were able to get from that experience that you have put into this particular project of yours? For the record, for those of you who are not familiar, the cohort 1 last January, when Taal erupted, set up the Taal Operations Center, which was an attempt to mimic an existing operation center where data is collated and funneled to the concerned groups. And Colin and Kay were direct beneficiaries of the Taal Option by AIM. So were there learnings you got from that?
Yes.
EJ, go ahead.
We were able, with what we have put up in the option, we were able to help Kay pin the evacuation centers and give her the grid coordinates so that they can easily identify which evacuation centers they are to go to for the relief operations. And this also helped the Batangas province identify also the evacuation centers and further data consolidation on how many families were there and how many individuals were there, so that it would help also those who wants to donate manage their resources and supplies for the relief operations.
Cool, right. So I remember that. So what EJ was mentioning, the operations center mapped out all of the evacuation centers in Batangas and Cavite, right?
Yes, that's
And
true.
yeah, and they were able to pinpoint the number of families and the needs. Kay, you were saying? Oh, okay.
Good.
Sorry. I thought you were going to mention things. So aside from the actual data that were gathered that proved useful for managing relief effort, were there other learnings from the Taal Option that you are currently putting into your current project? So
For
what
me,
worked? What did not work? Yes, Kay.
yeah. Well, for me, technology is essential for this command center to be built because without without the data, we cannot identify the needs. We cannot identify what response will be given and what will be our rehabilitation or recovery will be provided to the affected areas.
Right. So I'm hearing that that what also resonated data-driven decisions for relief and recovery, right? Okay.
Yes, yes.
So Ramil, what were learnings from the OPSEN that you are putting into this project of yours?
Yes, Sir Wally. Actually, we prepared up to the actual relief operation. So the needs for actual relief operation was already intact on our Taal option before. So it is just the signal of go, so we can do already.
Right.
That's it.
So the everything else have been laid out. So when you're
Yes,
given
yes,
the go signal, the blueprint on how to execute the relief operations is there. I'm going
yes.
to read this comment from Manuel Engel. I hope I'm saying that right. I would love to see your team supporting, technical or otherwise, the initiatives of the grassroots level as to capacitation, etc.
Yeah, Sir Manuel, hello, and welcome to EMDRCM Live. It's one of our objectives also is to make sure that even the small, especially in business sector, even the small businesses can take part in building disaster resilience. And please stay tuned in the result of our project. I'm sure it's going to be posted somewhere in aim.edu. Uh, by the before the year ends, and we hope to deliver that promise, that a promise of integrating what different sectors, especially on a grassroots level, would be able to contribute to achieving this objective. So yeah.
Right. So, see, guys, because of your participation in EMDRCM Live, there's now bigger pressure to really develop the project.
Yeah.
Okay, another comment here from Snow Olap. Data is very vital.
We are thankful that we are being taught in our EMDRCM program how to visualize, interpret, and analyze uh, different types of data. Because the problem with disasters, during disasters, is of course you're not going to have a statistician running around and measuring everything. So it's very important for us to turn data into insight, turn the available data into insight, and make sure that we are able to use them, because decision making during disaster, I mean, as we have experienced during Taal, it was really fast, it was really fluid. The needs of today do not match the needs for tomorrow. For example, and so it's very important to have the foresight. So we have a course in EMDRCM called Analyzing Disaster. It's an ADE. It's what's it? K, what is it? Disaster environment, I think, something like that.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yes.
ADE. And ADE, the thing about ADE is that it gives you analysis and information about previous disasters that are comparable to the disasters that we face today. And during Taal, of course, it's very easy for us to be reactive. But the problem is, for example, what one thing that me and Kay did, and the entire group did, was 3 days beforehand, we already identified, thanks to our ADE course and thanks to case experience handling different disasters, we already identified 3 days before that the next problem would be water and sanitation hygienes, because the evacuation centers were growing. So we had that foresight, we had that insight already based on previous data and based on the trend that we got from OPSEN, from AIM OPSEN. We were getting a trend that the number going up and it's already exceeding capacity. And we match that with the average, because I think, Kay, what's the average one toilet facility for X number of 100 or something?
50.
There's a 50. And we were getting that, we were comparing that data set into the data set that we were getting every day. So we already did forecasts, and we knew 3 days beforehand that water and sanitation hygiene. So that at that particular moment, we were able to request for portalets, the portable toilets. So we were able to request for portalets, and then so when the day happened, 3 days after, the analysis came out. The daily analysis came out that we need water and sanitation hygiene. Instead of waiting for another 3 days, we already had it there. And that's the beauty of being in EMDRCM. And that's why we keep encouraging people to join the program. Because these bits of information is very important, crucial. Because we are not talking about simple objectives here. We are talking about saving lives and making sure that other problems won't surface. If we didn't do it, probably there would be a health hazard or water contamination in the area. And we have avoided that because we had the insight thanks to the program and thanks to us working together in delivering this project. So yeah.
Right. And because Colin pointed it out, I'm going to ask everybody else the same question. Why did you get into this program at all?
Okay, I'll take
Colin referenced the ADE as part of the things that he's getting to learn. And it's quite obvious, being the Assistant Provincial Administrator of Batangas, EDRCM really plays a big role for Colin to up his game. What about EJ, Kay, Sir Ramil? What was the motivation for you guys going into the program?
I think being in the military, being as military, we were always at the front line. So I think we need to have this kind of the course to help us collaborate with other agencies well and do our thing better.
Well, for
Sir
me,
Wally?
Wally.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Kay.
Yes, Sir Ramil, you can.
Okay, Sir Wally, this is what I've learned about this course. I reviewed the response of the PNP on the disasters. It shows that we concentrated on the response, not on the resiliency of the community. So we have the Oplan Saklolo, in which as first responder on the what we call that, on the disaster already, when the disaster is already there. So how to become resilient? The PNP as the first responder, of course, as we studied the resiliency plan, we have to amend our plans, that we will include the move on, or the activities on the pre-disaster. So that's what I have learned about this course, to think of the resiliency of the community and the PNP just before the disaster happens. So there will be an education, which is part of our mandate already, that we have a community relations, we do dialogues, we do somewhat part of pulong-pulong to the community. So we do the resiliency plan for before the disaster will happen.
Right, and Sir Ramil is going to be the resilience champion for the PNP. Thank you, sir. Kay.
Okay, I'll make it short. Okay, so I enrolled in this program because I believe that this program will equip me not only as disaster practitioner, but also would equip me with management and leadership skills, as AIM is known for this. So I believe this the program has able to provide me those skills already.
Okay, good. So hopefully we get to inspire other people by the sharing that you've allowed our viewers to listen to. There are a couple of questions I'd like to put this in before we wrap things up. This is from Benedict de Borja. Since you mentioned that data or information is vital in your operation of the Disaster Management Control Center, would you consider an information security operations center as one of the models that you can pattern your disaster management control center after?
Actually, can I take that? Actually, that's I was reading. I was gonna say I was gonna interrupt and say I was reading this comment by Mr. Benedict. Hello, Mr. Benedict. Good evening, po. And I just thought that it is a brilliant idea because we in our studies as a group we identified that an emerging hazard is related to data privacy and security because everybody's online, and so we are now more susceptible to hacking and the compromising of information. I think it's something that we should look into. Um, we are thankful because through AIM we can keep in touch with Commissioner Raymond Liboro of the National Privacy Commission. Um, I think on month I probably will text him after this webinar to get his takes. And I think it's a brilliant idea, and we've seen it in our studies, but we haven't really, to be honest, we haven't really taken action on this. But if you think about it, this is probably the next. This is gonna be this if we do not manage this could be a problem. This could be a bigger problem because we are now talking about data privacy of people, privacy of financial resources also, and something that we can integrate since we are already doing digital options. I think it's something we could integrate. So thank you, Mr. Benedict, for that.
Thank you, Mr. Benedict de Borja. And I'm pretty sure the Capstone Group will be reaching out directly to you.
That's why we agreed to do this EMDRCM live right now, because I know that we can get the pulse of our participants today in this webinar. I think it's something because again, like I mentioned earlier, this project is evolving,
Mhm.
and the more heads that we can get, the more suggestions we can get, the more perspectives we can get, then we can improve and develop our project, which then lead to the disaster resilience of our communities. So thank
Right.
you.
Thank you, sir. There is this comment from Mr. Alan Romel Labayog, and he's trying to respond to the key questions for our AMDRCM topic tonight. Is your command center going to help build a resilient culture? According to Mr. Labayog, Disaster Management Command Center is not a command center, is the center of coordination during the response and recovery phase. A resilient culture starts in the prevention, mitigation, and preparedness phase. So I'm sensing that he thinks that the disaster management command center is more about recovery and response, and not really about prevention and mitigation. What do you think, guys?
To supplement, the primary objective of our center is to actually help Batangas communities plan and prepare for the disasters, as well as facilitate ease of communication and coordination and collaboration for faster response and seize that golden hour during disaster. So it's not only for response, it's typically for planning and preparation, because we will have this hazard mapping already of the areas and check on what disaster will make these areas vulnerable to.
Thanks, CJ. Great. Yeah, indeed. Because I don't know if the intention of the team is, okay, I have an operation center. When there's a disaster, I'll turn on the switch and it's running. I think from what I'm hearing from EJ, there's a lot of planning and research and coordination that goes even before any signs of a disaster is even in the horizon. So that, I think, in my personal opinion, the beauty of your the project that you are pushing together is that it involves everybody in the community from the get-go, because you won't be able to operate your command center if everything is just again part of the old model is that when everything is just centered on response. So Any other comments to Mr. Labayog about his insight? He was saying that the resilient culture starts in prevention and mitigation, and we agreed. And EJ pointed
Yes.
out that the command center project that you are espousing is indeed part of that, building that resilient culture even before you actually use the command center for disaster response and recovery.
Yes, I think that we are very thankful because EMDRCM as a program is not just about knowing technical things about disasters and the four thematic areas of disasters, but also building us to be better leaders, leaders that develop bridging leadership and empathy, which is uh, probably some of our most important courses. And as leaders, the EMDRCM is equipping us as leaders, and we are being developed as leaders who can have empathy, who can collaborate better with different sectors, who can manage through, because managing disasters involves a lot of conflict, a lot of emotions, a lot of fear, and I think we are very thankful to our professors because these modules are part of the curriculum. So they're not only developing us, not only building our knowledge about technical things about disasters, but also building our personalities, our attitudes, and our values towards that. So I am hopeful that once we get this up and running, we will espouse this culture of empathy and bridging leadership in our program.
Okay. Thank you, sir. There are a couple of comments that are not related to the topic, pero since it's been said, maybe we can try to also comment on this. Romeo de la Cruz Galvez wrote down, is the government bailout to SMEs sufficient to sustain the stymied economic development? Anybody can just try to respond with your opinion or your insight. Is the government bailout of SMEs sufficient to jumpstart our economic development?
We should have Harry Roque in our that.
Anybody care to share an opinion or an insight?
Sige ako, I'll do it. Let me try. At least for the context of Batangas. So, of course, I mean, our quick response programs, cash donations, food and non-food items, SME support will never be enough because given the uncertainty of the situation of COVID-19. But we are thankful because a lot of the bigger players, the bigger companies are stepping up really in helping us help the small medium enterprises, because of course it is to the best interest of the provincial economy as a whole to have the SMEs up and running, because if they close down, of course it will have repercussions in consumption. It will have repercussions on on collecting taxes. Of course, it works as a system. It's part of a big ecosystem. So we are doing everything that we can to help, but we cannot do it alone. Kaya lagi kaming nananawagan na we are always appealing to our partners here in Batangas. At least for Batangas, I can speak on behalf of the province that we're doing that. So a good example was that on not directly on SMEs but on medical equipment. Of course, we have our Batangueños in the US who have sent us a shipment of medical equipment, new medical equipment as donations to improve to add to our infrastructure in our district hospitals. So that is just an example of how it's stepping up, how the private sector is stepping up in helping us help different sectors of our province. So I'm very thankful, and we hope that we can solve this together. We cannot solve it alone. We need to work together towards it because it's a very tough opponent, really, right now.
Anybody else would like to share? Thank you, Colin, for that. Yeah, indeed. So, my take, Mr. Galvez, in the context that just was explained by Colin, when everything is uncertain, even if the government has all of the resources to bail out MSMEs for 1 month, 2 months, because you don't know when a vaccine will be available, in the long run, bailouts might not be sustainable. So I really love what Colin was referencing there, that we really need to start working together and collaborating. And that was also part of the reason why the EMDRCM Live has been set up, exactly to that point, to try to reach out to everybody and reinforce the need for all of us to work together. We are almost out of time. I'm going to ask our guests to share their last message or insight to the group before we wrap things up and end our 12th episode. Let's start with Sarah Mil.
Sir Wally, studying at EIM changes my perspectives on disaster management. So I already set up projects for the PNP. So it will go as I will go back to Camp Crame.
Okay, thank you, Sir Ramil. EJ?
I'm thankful that I was able to take this course really because uh, I was able to gain a lot of perspective from different agencies and different classmates coming from different sectors also, and it was really a good thing uh, that I will be able to use in my work.
Okay, thank you. Kay?
For me, collaboration is indeed important, and how we able to engage other stakeholders in times of crisis or disasters are indeed essential in order to have a more sustainable and resilient communities. That's it.
Colin?
And the establishment of such a command center in a province like Batangas is can be made possible through again collaboration, and number two, having a shared vision and encouraging an uh, inclusive approach towards achieving disaster resilience. I'm very thankful that me, on behalf of the group, I just want to say that I'm very thankful that the EMDRCM has helped us equip ourselves with knowledge, insights, and allowed us to meet each other and collaborate together in forming solutions that really matter at this time. This is the best time. This is the best time for us to talk about disaster resilience, to have a program about disaster risk and crisis management, because it's been I think we've had our lives have been revolving around disasters, especially for this year, and it's going to be the same thing, just a different animal in the coming years. So I think now is the time to take action, and we're very happy that we have all our partners, including AIM, in this battle, in this journey towards achieving resilience, achieving sustainability for our communities. Thank you, Ali.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, EJ. Thank you, Colin.
Thank
Thank you, Kay.
you.
Thank you, Sir Ramil. This
Thank
is
you, Sir Wally.
Capstone, the Batangas Command Center Capstone Group. They're members of LT1. And again, I've said it earlier, one of the coolest groups in the cohort. So those of you who would like to engage them or know more about their Capstone Group, please also be part of our Viber community. Check out the link that you can key in and participate in the Viber community, the Disaster Resilience Champions. The AIM marketing and recruitment team normally shares insights and information through the Viber community related to everything that we discuss in EMDRCM Live. So thank you to our distinguished group. I hope we can get them again next time for our succeeding episodes. Great job, guys. Thank you, everybody. This has been another EMDRCM Live. Keep safe. Happy weekend.
just simply being able to bounce back. It's actually being able to bounce back better.